Done.
I know, we're supposed to be coming skiing. And there is no snow.
Want to do a sound check, please?
Thankfully, this coming home.
Yeah. Although, slopes are making snow.
Yeah.
I think Northwood might be lucky ski this year.
Yeah.
And they say they're open and they have a 5-inch base.
Wow.
We're like, how can
How is it possible?
that's not open?
Yeah, really.
Right.
They get very depressed over there.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys heard me. I need Francina and Rogelio. Do a sound check, please.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I'm here. Yep. Thank you. Is Roger, or Veronica on the line?
Yes, this is Roger. I'm here.
Hi, Roger. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Good morning.
Morning. Roderick Franks or Veronica Rodriguez?
Michael on.
Yes, I'm on. Okay.
Michael, we're missing 2, but we do have quorum.
All right, then we'll go ahead. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you, Jennifer. You did confirm quorum. All right, just going through the agenda. We have 10 consent items on our approval action item list. We have a smaller informational list of only 3, just because we have a condensed meeting, a little holiday light for everybody. And then we have 2 closed session items, and then we'll free everybody's Friday back up to them, and so they can enjoy the holidays with their families. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and move on to public comment on items not listed on the agenda at this point in the meeting. Okay, I am hearing none. We'll go ahead and move into our action items. That's our consent calendar, and we've got 10 items to go over. I'll turn that over to Holly and Julia.
Good morning. Happy holidays, everyone. I'll go over the items, and then Julia will jump in where needed. And as Michael said, we've got 10 items, so quite a few to get through today. First one is the approval of the minutes and review of the action items from the November board meeting. The action items are either completed, part of ongoing topics, or part of today's agenda. The next item on the list is RGS Amendment 43. So this amendment includes an annual update to the salaries and benefits in alignment with San Bernardino. And we do have a number of other updates to position descriptions and titles as well. The net impact of the salary and benefit update is about 5.2% combined. Our cost of benefits did trend a little higher this year than in past years. And then our salary updates are a catch up to San Bernardino, since we align to San Bernardino where applicable. We're also adding position descriptions for the Chief Information Security Officer, an Information Security Officer, and Security Operations Manager. So these were previously functions that were handled by RGS subcontractors, so they fell under a more general scope of work. This shift moves that to add clarity. They are not new FTEs in total. We're also proposing to replace the position description and title of the Technical and Operations Director with Chief Information Officer. This is not a reclassification, so it does remain a section director level, but it does allow for clarification of the position scope with a title that better reflects the position within an IT organization. And then additionally, we're proposing to update the communication manager position to a public information officer title that is in alignment with a section director level. And then finally, we have a number of revised titles for our technical analyst series of positions, our business analyst series of positions, to more clearly reflect 3 levels for those series of positions. And we removed positions that were no longer applicable post-migration. And then we basically reformatted our position descriptions with a new consistent structure. Next item on the list is our CWDA agreement. This is an extension of that agreement for a period of 12 months, and that does increase the overall value of the contract by $274.5 thousand. The Deloitte Maintenance and Enhancements Change Order 4 includes 1 premise and 1 county purchase. The premises for CalLearn Pregnancy and Parenting, that's SB 521. That's for just under $225,000. That will leave a balance of $51.7 million out of the $60.8 change allowance. And the county purchases for San Francisco GAGR scope in the amount of $91,000. And that leaves a balance of $19.4 million. The Gainwell Infrastructure Change Order 4, that includes 3 county purchases, 1 for Kern County kiosk printers. We have a Sacramento County purchase for Calabrio cloud storage, and Shasta County GAGR infrastructure component. The combined impact is $139.3 thousand. That leaves a balance of $32.4 million out of the change allowance for the Gainwell infrastructure. The ClearBest Work Order 7, that includes the 1 premise, that is the complementary QA services to the CalLearn scope of work reflected in the Deloitte change order. That will utilize $38,000. Leaving a balance of $810,000. The next 2 items I'll speak to combined. So with recent approval of our CDSS privacy and security agreement, we now need to incorporate both the DHCS and CDSS PSAs into our newer agreements for infrastructure with Gainwell and for the M&E with Deloitte. There's no cost impacts resulting from these amendments. We simply incorporate them as exhibits. And then the last couple of items, we included 2 reports. One's related to the performance metrics and 1 status update related to transition activities. And these are both informational in lieu of an agenda item. And then for all of the applicable consent items where there's costs, those are accounted for in our CalSAWS OAPDU premise and or county funding. So with that, Michael, it's back to you for the question and answer portion.
Okay, thank you. Holly, a couple of the positions, were those title changes or were they actually net new positions?
There are no net new positions within this amendment. We have a title change. We have multiple title changes.
Can you run through them again?
Yeah. So the title changes are the Technical and Operations Director will be revised to Chief Information Officer. The Communication Manager position will change to Public Information Officer. That is a reclassification in alignment with the section director level. That was accounted for in our CalSAWS OAPDU as well. And then the other ones are the analyst positions. We have technical analysts and business analysts. We had previously different titles that weren't necessarily numbered accordingly. So now those better reflect a series of analyst 1, 2, and 3.
Did these help with alignment in terms of items at the county level? I know we use benchmarks in LA and San Bernardino County.
I would say it is it will help make it more clear for the staff. First of all, previously we had a technical analyst and a technical analyst 1 and 2. We just didn't have them connected cleanly in a series. So now they are in alignment. And it does somewhat help with alignment to San Bernardino.
All right. Any other questions from our board members or state partners on this slate? There was 10 items. So if you have any questions on any of the items, please either raise your hand or go ahead and speak up at this point.
This is Francina. I just have a question around some of those changes for staff. Did any of those title changes come with differences in their job specs?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Morning, Michael. Good
Yeah.
questions. 2 items. First one is, Holly, can you confirm, is the salary alignment with San Bernardino aligned with their FY 25-26 budget?
It is in alignment with their salary schedules that go into effect as of February. So I presume that is in alignment with their budget.
Okay, thanks for that. And also
sorry, just one clarification. I probably should have said this during the description. The salary schedules would go into effect in March.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
calling that out because we don't know what's happening in the next year's budget for all of us, and so just want to be really be paying attention to what we're doing with salaries, so we don't get ahead of ourselves in terms of budgeting.
Yep. Yep.
And then just wanted to comment that I have reviewed the performance measures. Thank you very much for including them, and I appreciate the ongoing great performance. Yep. I'm done, Michael.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you, Francina. Other questions or comments from our board member state partners? I just want to leave a little bit of time because it was 10 items that were summarized here. Okay, I'm not hearing any, and I don't believe I see any in chat. You guys got to help back me up on chat. I'm trying to see if that had anything, but I don't see anything. So I'll turn it then now to public comment. Also not hearing or seeing anything on these 10 items. All right, do we have a motion to approve this slate of consent items?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Who was the second?
Greg. Who's Greg?
Oh, Marla and Greg right next to each other. Great.
Easy.
All right, we can call the vote then.
Okay, Bill?
Aye.
Bill, are you on? Sorry. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Greg, I guess. I know you can, Greg. Chris?
Yes.
Francina?
Yes.
Gilbert?
I need to abstain on A since I wasn't at the last JPA, but yes on the other items.
Roger?
Yes.
Veronica, you came on?
Yes, I'm here. I heard it. Yes, thank you.
Kristen?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Rogelio?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Is that the completed vote? So motion passed. That brings us up to our beginning of our informational items. I think we have a set of 3 that we're going to go through, and the first one's up is HR1 updates. Is that over to you, Julia, and your team?
Yes, it is.
I'll cover it, Michael. This is Roger.
Started, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. These first set of slides outline the May revised and HR1 policy implementation roadmap. As presented in prior meetings, each pillar represents a CalSAWS release. There are not a lot of updates since our last meeting. The project team continues to meet with our state partners and participate in the medical JAD sessions to finalize policy guidance and system designs. Now, with that said, we do have 2 recent updates I'd like to highlight. First, we received policy clarification that the HR1 ABOD policy changes will be effective June 1st, 2026. And so accordingly, the project has aligned the associated system changes with the May release, and that's reflected here on the slide in that third pillar. Second update, which is not reflected on these slides as this is new information as of yesterday, and that is that for our CalFresh program, the HR1 non-citizen eligibility policy changes are effective April 1st, and the project is targeting a March 31st implementation date to get those changes in. Now, these are substantial changes being delivered in a highly compressed timeline, which will naturally introduce some risk. And so the project team will be actively monitoring progress and implementing mitigation strategies throughout the development and implementation to ensure we stay on track and retain quality. Next slides, please. One more, actually two more. Next one, please. Yes, thank you. So these next set of slides focus on our CalFresh system enhancements aimed at improving CalFresh processing and reducing error rates. Each table again represents a release that includes the focus area or challenge being addressed along with the corresponding system updates. There are no significant updates here from our last JPA meeting. The teams remain on track with the targeted releases. So unless there's questions here, we can proceed to the next section. One more slide. Thank you. So the following slides here cover our HR1 outreach efforts. Items to note is on December 9th, DHES and CalSOS hosted a walkthrough of the system updates related to the Medi-Cal expansion freeze, including the asset verification program. You can move over to the next slide, please. Regarding our able-bodied adults with dependents, as previously shared, the PRT environment was updated on October 27th to enable ABOD functionality, allowing counties to review and become familiar with the features. Based on county feedback, the project has extended the availability of this functionality in the PRT environment from end of January through now end of February. So just wanted to point that out. We can go to the next slide. Regarding our HR1 work groups, as a reminder, there are 5 work groups supporting the HR1 implementation. Since our last meeting, the CalFresh processing work group completed its requirements gathering, actually this week, and the ad hoc reporting work group finalized its requirements on December 4th. Additionally, the ABOD work group officially kicked off this past Wednesday, and overall, the work groups continue to make steady progress in alignment with the planned timelines. Next slide. A little bit more detail on our CalFresh processing work group. Since we last met, they met 3 additional times to identify and discuss household-related system enhancement requirements, align on the requirements and prioritization across income, expense, and household composition, and completed a final set of recommended requirements. Next steps include sharing the finalized requirements with our advocate partners for feedback, logging system change requests to formally track each requirement, and developing a high-level implementation timeline. This timeline will be shared at our next JPA meeting. Next slide. As for our ad hoc work group, since we last met, the work group met 2 additional times, focusing on identifying requirement dependencies, grouping and prioritizing the requirements, and finalizing the overall group's recommendation. And so I'll now pass it over to Jerry, who will provide further details on the ad hoc requirements, the implementation schedule, and other next steps being taken by the team.
Thanks, Roger. I'll actually cover the ad hoc reporting thing. So prior to the ad hoc work group, we had published the 2 reports, which is the ABOD and work requirements. And they actually were based on the contra costa queries, and we had received some Excel spreadsheets. We also received the information from San Diego. We met in person with Sacramento, but we felt that, the quickest way to make it available for all 58 counties is let's take what Contra Costa has given and, take the Excel stuff, put it in queries, and we have published those for all 58 counties. In parallel, Julia had suggested let's establish an ad hoc working group. We did. And that group basically, based on HR1, based on some of the SUAs, essentially came up with 7 reports. And then, sorry, I'm looking at my slide here. So the 7 reports, while the requirements were getting captured and they went all the way through December 4th, in parallel, we are working on producing those reports. And the first report, which is the updated ABORD report, we decided to publish last Friday, which was 12/12. Once we publish, again, Julia recommended let's reach out to counties and get the feedback. We did get the feedback, and in the process, we realized that there was a base population which was missing, so we had to correct the queries and reports. We corrected it, and as we speak right now, we are in the process of communicating to the counties that all 58 counties that ABORD report will be out this morning. There's a CalFresh demographics report, which will be out. Again, we are shooting for today. And then our next wave, which was 12/17, we had medical related reports we had committed to publish. However, during our validation, we did uncover some issues which needed query tweaks. So we are now delayed by a few days. We are targeting now end of day Tuesday next week to publish the remaining medical reports. From that point onwards, we want to collect the feedback. There may be some more design changes, maybe some new data elements, maybe some defects, because these are complicated reports and we are working on an aggressive timeline. And once we capture that in feedback, through mid-January, we'll publish another round, around January, late January 125. Go to the next slide, please. Now we do realize that with as the policies are getting refined, there may be even new policies. The need for ad hoc, reporting is not going to stop. Again, with that, what we have decided collectively is we will establish this, we'll have this ad hoc work group continue as and when there's a need arises. We also are realizing that, our existing team, if you want to quickly respond to the needs, it's not enough, so we are reinforcing our team. So we're adding more team members and, as and when, we establish the work group, we'll produce this reports very quickly. And we'll continue this model. We believe that in long term, the solution truly is an analytics platform, which will solve most of the reporting needs. I would never say all. It's hard to kind of meet all. But that project is, roughly 2 years away. Go to the next slide. So early on, early start of the year, one of the JPA objectives was enhanced reporting and analytics. So under the leadership of Sandeep, Sandeep actually met with all 58 counties and kind of went through understanding the pain points and reporting, what works, what doesn't work. And based on that, Sandeep and the team started working on proof of concept to say, what should the future analytics platform should look like? And again, the things we have heard, or the concerns we have heard in the board meetings is, we need quick. We need, quickly the reports. And a lot of times the requests come in, fast and furious. And this is a platform where we are looking into to say, text to SQL, if can the counties generate reports on their own? And again, I don't think they can get to 100%, but if we can solve like 80% of their problem, that's the platform we are looking. We did work on the proof of concept, and we are confident that, that the platform we are putting will solve the needs. The next steps on that is, February, we are likely looking the start date for that project. And then we have broken down into series of milestones. Milestone number 1, again, ad hoc being the number 1 need on reporting. We want to hit the ad hoc reporting platform along with, some operational reports. Milestone 2 will focus on some state and federal mandated reports along with data lake. And then, milestone 3 will be the full analytics platform. So that's kind of our like short-term and long-term vision. And I'll stop there to see if anyone has questions.
Before to that, in terms of the reports that we have available, those who have EDR capabilities, those are available to you and then Apex. So do you want to kind of maybe share about Apex, and then for those counties that have neither, we're providing extracts to those counties.
That's a very good point, Julia. So not everyone has access to Apex. So then we basically went county by county, and if they don't have access to Apex, then we will produce the extracts and make it available. We also established the communication as soon as the report is ready. We are broadcasting saying that this report is available. We are also reaching out to them for feedback, making sure numbers align. And at times we are getting feedback to say, no, it doesn't. And then we quickly work on reports and queries and respond. Questions?
I have a question. Just in terms of, I see the road mapping, I see you identifying sort of an analytics platform. That's a ways out. And
Yeah.
I'm really wanting to see some leveraging of platforms we actually already have, because we have a BI platform, it's been with CalSOS for a long time. Are these platforms not leverageable to sort of use what we have and then make a migration to something else later rather than I mean, we talk about them as ad hocs, but there was a platform we had already with, BI capabilities. So I'm just trying to understand, with the whole plethora of things that CalSOS has under its umbrella, that we don't have anything that we can spin up and work on in the meantime.
I think, Michael, I want to understand the question in terms of the current, why can't we spin up? I guess I want to understand what we have now is not sufficient for kind of that future roadmap. Can I get clarification on the ask?
Okay.
No, I'm trying to understand the question. I guess I'm trying to understand the question.
So we're painting a path of 2 years out to have an analytics platform. And I'm just asking, don't we already have an analytics platform that we could be leveraging for this? Because there was a BI platform. I remember we implemented it. So I thought that was actually something that could be utilized now.
Yeah. So Michael, if you are, we have a Click platform, and one of the feedbacks, and Sandeep, if you're on the call, you can chime in more.
Right.
Is one of the concerns we heard from all 58 counties is like, it is very hard to change anything in Click. It doesn't respond. It's not responsive. And, the lot of reports are not helpful. Honestly, the feedback we received was Apex is where they rely quite a bit to do their day-to-day job. We spent a day in Napa Valley and try to understand like what they use for their operational needs. And they don't use the current platform. They in fact use the Apex platform, and they take the data, put it in Excel, merge it, and it takes a lot of hours for them to even generate their own reports for their operational needs. And I think that was the feedback we received, and that is the reason we are, kind of proposing to go in a different direction.
So if I can chime in, I think the platform we have, Michael, right now, we use Click, it's a BI platform, but there's no analytics products or analytics platform built there. So these are each data, PBDS or products built for reporting purposes only. And the purpose is to generate these reports. If you want to do a different report than what CalSOS does, or make tweaks to reports which CalSOS does, it's a big pain for most counties to do it. And then towards that, what a lot of counties do is then they build their own, either the bigger counties build their own warehouse and then do all that themselves. And that's where the challenge is. A true analytics platform was never built out. It was built purely for reporting purposes, not analytics purposes. Does that make sense?
Maybe, but just there's a little bit of historical context here, because I believe we had an Oracle full BI platform and Click got sort of added onto that. I didn't think we eliminated some of the other platforms, but maybe it did. The board members are clearly not visible to some of the stuff that's happened at the project, but it feels a little bit like you're saying that we don't have the tools that are needed for the project to help support, analytics for the county, because I never thought that the project was strapped with a basic reporting platform that can't be modified to meet county needs.
Well, I guess for when we think about the data architecture, Michael, we want something that's scalable and really is nimble enough so that counties get to a place where they can self-serve. And if their teams need to pull data readily, they can do that within minutes instead of relying on the project to create a report that will take sometimes weeks or months. And we've been sharing a demo of that POC that Rajesh shared. We just did it with Region 2. So, Greg can, chime in, but there was a lot of excitement from, the regions around what this gives them and what this offers to them. And so I think it's just more of a maturity kind of, roadmap and giving counties the tools they need more readily. So.
Michael, can I jump in here?
Yeah, please.
So I want to just align with Michael here. I do think it sounds like a great plan, and it's 2 years out. So I had to give 3 reports to my board of supervisors this week. All of them I needed data for, right? We can't wait for 2 years. And I think what I see really good progress here, and this is the best report we've had so far that, you know, where I can really see progress, and I do appreciate that. I'd like us as a consortium to consider other entities that are out there that are producing reports for us. Right, so counties contract with other entities to help us with our reporting. Exemplar is one of them that supports a lot of counties. And I'd like us to evaluate bringing those in-house and scaling those for all counties, because those are established reporting platforms that we should be taking advantage of while we go through a 2-year process to build out something new. I'm also just wondering what happened to the platform that was in Calwin. I mean, in Calwin, we had great analytics. So was that just all dropped when we migrated to CalSAWS?
I think Don has more history than I do. Yeah.
Guess I probably speak to that one. So
That's part of my concern too, is just historically, because we went through this discussion around Click becoming kind of the front facing where you could do all kinds of things. So to hear now that you can't is surprising to me. And the fact that there was data lakes being created. This is all stuff the project talked about before. So I feel like a little bit of deja vu here, that we're kind of going through a similar discussion. So I'm sorry, but Dawn, I interrupted you.
no, you're good. Because all I can speak to is history. So just to bring everybody up to speed, when we did the migration to CalSAWS from Calwin, yes, those systems were shut down. We archived copies of it, but it was all shut down. And if you remember, we had that huge effort where those counties who wanted some of those reports to be refactored, so that you could use them with CalSAWS, we went out. But those were reports that we delivered to the counties who wanted those refactored, right? So they weren't put into CalSAWS as a solution. They were individually delivered to the counties who requested them. So we went through the list of the reporting with each county and then did that refactoring. I think we refactored across the 58 counties, or that's 15. There were only 18 of you. Across the 18, we did almost 800 that we refactored, but they were delivered to the counties.
And that was helpful. And those were standard daily reports that we use. But I do think we have lost some time here by sounds like we transitioned and then just the reporting just stalled. So appreciate the progress that's being made. This is a good report. I can see some progress, and I'd like to take as an action item assessing what systems are out there that we can bring on in the meantime that can support counties.
Yeah, and I'd just like to push back to the project to take a look at this. And is there a way that we can actually accelerate the timeline to getting a full analytics solution in place? And if that requires us to reassess other investment areas in the project to prioritize that, I'd like to have those options presented.
Sure. All right. Got it. Will do.
I had a question with regards to the reports, and they're a work in progress, and getting feedback will help shape them. Are you looking to get feedback from the work groups specifically, or from the counties in general? And then how do you anticipate soliciting that feedback and receiving it?
We're getting it now. The RMs have reached out to all the counties at this point, and so all the counties have been providing feedback. That's how I was able to email, the board members some of the feedback. And then they're also working on, if there's something, a specific question like a ticket, maybe submit it. So we are getting it from all, including the work group members.
Yeah, the first work group is focused on right now what phase 1 is listed on the roadmap here. All the applications, case, and workload related, already the reports which CalSAWS generates and the changes towards that. We're getting feedback from all the regions and all the counties there.
Yeah. So I just want to, are you talking about the HR1 reports? Or are you talking about
in general?
Oh, in general. Okay, then these was more correct.
Okay,
yeah. Sorry, we're talking.
I think, you know, there's a lot of work that you guys do with our staff, and as directors, you know, we're not seeing all of that because we trust our staff to be managing things. I think because this data, the data and the reporting is so important to directors, I think we need more communication as directors when you're reaching out to our teams. Because I don't know if you're talking to the right people on my team, and that's kind of, I feel like, you know, my decision about who you're talking to. Reporting is there's two parts of reporting, right? One part is the strategy of what reports we need. The other part is the technical, how do you produce those reports? In my shop, you're talking to my technical people, you're not talking to my strategy people. And so I think maybe these asks for feedback from counties needs to go to directors so we can be giving you the right people in our counties. And do appreciate you reaching out, but we do need you talking to the right people.
That's a good point, Marla. And for LA's equivalent would be our program staff. Those are the folks that would be the strategic, you know, equivalent of what Marla's talking about. Yeah. Okay, any other questions, comments from our board members, state partners on HR1 updates, and also particularly the analytics and reporting update?
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Kristen. It might be an odd question, but can you all explain in just layman's terms what the difference is between like a reporting out or report functionality that we have with BI, of course, maybe enhanced, versus like what analytics really means? Like, what's that going to look like? What's going to be the difference when we reach that phase 3?
Yeah, I can take that. So I think just having a distinction between analytics and reporting is critical, right? Reporting is sort of reports which you see either through your BI tool or inside the application. Those are things which you view, take action on, download, whatever. Analytics are analytic data products which are transformed from the core transactional data, which is all your cases, people, workload, and they are transformed. So then people can build reports off them much more easily. They can modify reports which CalSOS generates much more easily. Or as Julia said, you can use text to SQL on these data products, analytics products, and say how many people applied for CalFresh yesterday, or how many people over the age of 70 applied in the last month. These are things you can analysis, which you can do in a much easier manner rather than always asking for a new report from your staff. That's where sort of the challenge we cannot do right now is anytime these 500 odd reports, and there are a lot of ad hoc reports which we generate, if somebody says, can you add this column or delete this column, it takes us a long time to do that because all the underlying piping we have to modify, and because we don't have an analytics product in place.
Does it also include, so what you described as like answering questions about impact to customers, does it also include analytics around managing workloads and the business processes and workflows, productivity measures, individual unit, like does it get to that levels too?
Yes, that's the phase 1 in the applications, cases, and workloads. If that data is in CalSOS, then, yes. And then the phase 2 is more issuance and other types of reports is the phase 2. And then future, bringing other data sources such as benefits cal, lobby, imaging, those are the ones planned, which nobody has, people have to build reports themselves right now. And the idea is to bring that all into one analytics warehouse.
And then my last follow-up to that is just, would it get us to the level eventually where we could have workload and it would look like at our prior performances in terms of how we're getting through things and then project out how much team members are needed here? Like, does it get into resource analytics as well based off of workload?
You could layer that on, right? So you could use this data, and if you want to layer on some predictive time series saying, where is this going to go? Yes, those are layers we can build on top of this.
Okay, thanks.
So to Kristen's point, though, I really want to help it provide, we need to have some clarity provided on is and what will be. Because I was never under the impression that we had just custom configured ad hoc reports and that's all we have. Click is a rendering platform similar to Power BI that you can do a lot with that. But also I thought there was another layer under that that actually did organize the data in kind of a data lake format, because that's what we were told in the past, unless that was removed. So really, I think we need some clarity on what will be, because if we end up with a platform that you can do whatever you want, but it doesn't do anything, it doesn't have anything pre-prepared or anything, then that basically becomes just a more advanced ad hocing capability. So I'm really looking for some clarity on what is right now available and what you guys are saying will become available, and we need to accelerate the timeline on the 2B as well.
Will do.
I see Gilbert has his hand up.
Thank you, and Michael, that's a great point, because I remember, I haven't, been able to participate in these meetings for some time, and I know James has been very active in them. But this, to your point you made earlier about deja vu, this is very similar. I remember back when we were, doing migration conversations about a data lake and having availability of reports and ad hocing, and I know this is a path to analytics, but when we finally got a product for reporting, it was not what it's not what I believe we were anticipating. And it was this, more of layers of Click, that Click really did not work as well as we thought it was going to work. It was cumbersome and complicated. And then additionally, we were unclear about, being able to access the data lake, and then having, to by levels of how deep in the lake you could go, if you will, and things of that nature. And I may not be explaining it exactly how it turned out, but what it was that I think there was some uncertainty and some ambiguity about what we were actually getting in when we started versus what it was when it ended. And I don't remember the vendor that we had included at the beginning of that, and I don't know what the whole history was, but I think lesson learned going into this, we should be crystal clear at the start where we will be at the end. And so I think we just need to make sure that we go forward with that, in that mindset, like what is our end game? What will the end look like? And that way we know going forward, what we should be looking at phase 1, at phase 2, and where we will end at phase 3 going along. Also ensuring to where we can provide feedback to our staff who are participating in these work groups, et cetera, to ensure that the vision is met as we're going down that path.
So Gilbert's points are really well taken as well, because I think we all have long memories on what had been said was going to be delivered and what actually is. And this is surprising that it's as thin as you guys are describing. But we need to make sure that we're not in a place where we build another platform and we tell the counties it's there and you guys got to go find everything. That's what I get pause when I hear it. It'll be there so that you can do anything you want with it, because that's what the data lake promise was before, and it seems like it's not come to fruition. So it's sort of like taking the feedback we got from Chris and from Marla as well on what do we know about what needs to be preemptively put together so that all counties can kind of share in that. And then there's extra that might be customizable, rather than just bringing a platform in and then now we'll have to start building everything from scratch.
Right. Yeah. And I think for us, the two distinctions, like John said, I can't really answer for the past, but what we are doing is these POCs are critical, so you all can actually touch and feel and experience it in this iterative process, so that there is validation and you are brought along on that journey versus
What's
like
a POC?
A proof of concept, right? So like when we actually put something out and say, here's what we're thinking, and you can actually interact with it and give feedback. And so it's not this big bang at the end, but this is a roadmap, and it's intentionally, the layers are there to show, okay, this is what phase 1 would look like. We're going to be validating it with you all. You're going to get to test it out and experience it. And as we progress through, we'll continue to build on that. And so there isn't going to be any surprises at any point, and we'll continue to keep you all in the loop on that. But that's where that is really critical. Like we are going to now have POCs that the counties are actually going to consider.
But in recognition that we're a little behind the ball on this, I really want to push back to the project. We need you guys to kind of go back and put your thinking caps on what are accelerators that can actually, pre-built things that are already been well developed that we can look at, because there's a lot of things out there that we could pick up the pace on this.
Yeah, Michael, just one clarification. I did take the detailed action items and we'll respond to that. But one thing I do want to clarify, this is just not the platform. We have looked at existing reports, whether it is Click, whether it is Apex, there are purposeful data sets. We have made visits to, we looked at exemplar reports too. We made an all-day visit to San Bernardino, looked at what their operational reports are. We were actually in LA last week, spoke with your team and understood what their needs are. So we have done extensive research. So what we are saying is this is just not the platform. We will definitely migrate what we have today into the new platform and plus give the ad hoc reporting capabilities. So this is not just like we give you a platform and then counties can use on your own. So the existing, reports and some we are looking at, can we make it better? We will provide that to start with. And that is what we are saying here, the phase one, when you see use, not just ad hoc platform, but also the operational reporting.
Michael, I have a request and a suggestion. I think that I would like to see the proof of concepts coming to the board for approval. I think I feel like as a board, we need to be approving things here because, we're 2 years in basically to CalSAWS. We don't have reporting. We keep thinking we're getting it. So I think it's time to bring the proof of concepts here, to bring the plans here and have the board approving before you're in full implementation. I think we need more visibility.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I just, not to replace any detailed work on the ground that needs to happen, before it comes to the board, but visibility, just because I think what's been expressed here is a bit of disappointment in where we are historically. That seems like we're repeating ourselves. And I don't want to have that happen again. And I also Rajesh, I want to push back to you guys as we are engaged with some of the most capable vendors, on the planet. And we need you guys to exercise those capabilities and really bringing things to the table that you've proven out, that you guys have looked at, and not just you. We've got Gainwell and others, and Accenture. We have a number of very capable vendors, really, and we need that you guys leaning in terms of what the options are for us to make progress, because this timeline's not going to work on waiting around for 2 years for this to happen.
Point taken. We took that as an action item. Yep.
Thank you. I had the same, I just echo those. I won't repeat them, but I do have a question in chat that no one's addressed. You guys are referencing the data lake. A lot of counties spent a lot of money on getting the data lake for those counties, and some counties do not have it. So what impacts are there any that are going to be down this road to those people, those counties that do not have the data lake?
I don't know if we can answer that right now, Francina. We would have to probably get an answer back to you on that.
I think that has to be, Francina's right. Everything has to be sort of looked at and not missed, because there's investments in the data lake. So will there be leveraged ones where they haven't been able to take advantage of that? So we have to look at all sides of that.
I mean, this platform supports folks who do have their own warehouse or data lake and folks who don't and want to come use the CalSAWS platform to self. So it's been designed in a way so that all 58 counties can get benefit from it.
Sandeep, I appreciate your comment, but I think we're looking at some solution that is more the same for every county in the ability to use it, and not something that is bifurcated again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known this platform has to serve a variety of different needs. Some where resources are plentiful and heavy in counties, and some where they're not, and we have to have value for both those kind of situations and scenarios. Okay, any other comments that can help guide this before we move on to the next topic?
Need to open it up for public.
No, I was waiting for if there's any other director or state partner comments first before I close that.
Michael, I do have one final one. In addition to bringing things here for actual approval, I think it would be helpful to have some demonstration sessions for directors. Because we're hearing a lot of what you're saying, but I think directors need to see some demos of what you have in mind.
Yeah.
Yep, that's great. And maybe partnership through CWJ would be a way to do some of those things. So we'll put that out there. Okay. I'm going to venture into public comment now. Okay, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and move on the agenda to the next topic, which is policy and release updates. I believe Michelle is our contact on that, or the presenter on that.
I am, Michael. Thank you. All right, so we're going to do an FSED update. So as we close out 2025, 2026 becomes a big year for FSED. So I want to cover some key dates that we're tracking to, and then I'll talk a little bit about OCM, and then I'll highlight some issues and risks that we're covering. So for key dates, dates that we're tracking to is October 2026. That is our FSED go live date. CARES project, counties will go live on the new CARES system, and then CalSAWS will be, communicating with CARES via those APIs. In January of 2026, we're planning the extended user testing, so our EUST3, where very similar activity that we did in this year, 2025, in February, where counties got to participate running through scenarios on the CalSAWS side. There were workers on the CARE side, processing scenarios and sending data back and forth and experiencing what that will look like in CalSAWS and CARES. So we're going to do that effort again. That effort is scheduled to begin in February. Recruitment for participants will go out very soon. And then the last item that I want to highlight here for key dates is the pilot, which is tentatively scheduled for August 2026. There's 5 counties there that will be participating in the pilot. As I mentioned, this is tentative. The CARES team is still working on finalizing the date, but as of now, we're tracking to August. So as we get closer to that implementation, we have an organizational change management effort that we will be kicking off in early January. So part of our plan is we're going to update our standard materials. Our web-based training will create some new ones for the FSED functionality. We'll update applicable job aids. We are going to be doing a series of webcasts, which will be pre-recorded demonstrations of the different updates that we'll get through the FSED API. So counties will get to participate in all of those. The team is preparing a pre-go live checklist. I know we'll have some post-implementation calls that we'll do with the counties. And then also in January, which I'm pretty excited about this one, is we're going to start an FSED newsletter, which will highlight, different aspects of the changes, things that are coming, webcast opportunities. So that will kick off in January as well. And we could go on to the next slide. So to highlight some of the issues and risks associated to FSED that we've been tracking, is our first one is our issue 318. So this one was or is associated to the case linking. So as we start those API, that data exchange between CARES and CalSAWS, we want to pre-link as many cases in both systems as we can. And so we've been tracking this issue because the linking percentage for AAP and KingGap was very low. And so the team has worked really hard, both teams worked really hard to get that linking percentage up, which then would minimize any manual linking that the counties would need to do at go live. And so, yeah, just this week, I don't have the actual number for King Gap, but just this week, the AEP case link percentage match percentage is up to 96%, which is really great. So we're going to be lowering this item to a risk. We're going to continue to monitor as the team works through what is the process for the counties to manually link these. So still work to be done here, but definitely making great progress. On our vendor API, our issue 321, this one is definitely a lot of work going on here. This one is to support the automation that LA currently has. We want to, retain that as much as possible. And so the teams are working on a solution to be able to transmit the vendor information. We don't have a vendor API at this point, but we want to continue to be able to support LA. So the CARES team, LA, CalSAWS, we're working together to identify what needs to come, what data LA needs in order to continue to support this. So good progress there. Our last issue is our integrated performance test. This one is, we just got notification that the CARES team wants to move this to mid-April. We were shooting for an earlier performance test early in 2026, but the CARES team is tracking to a mid-April. So we'll continue to monitor this one and focus on making sure we do that performance test definitely way before pilot. And then our two risks that we're tracking to is the CARES project wants to do a they don't have a UAT planned in their scope for their project, but they do want to allow the county's opportunity to get into the CARES system and look at all those system changes, do some case processing, and send data to CalSAWS so they can see how those APIs are going to work. And so the CARES has asked for funding from the federal government to perform this exercise. And so CalSAWS, we are definitely going to be supporting this effort. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern to see where the CARES team, if they get that funding, and then how we're gonna proceed with that activity. And then our last risk there, 325, is our pilot activities. So again, something that the CARES team is waiting for funding to be able to move that exercise, that activity forward. So we're definitely able to, going to be supporting that effort with the CARES team, but still waiting for their funding approval on that effort. So that, Michael, is all I have. I am not going to highlight anything else just for the time's sake related to upcoming releases, but I do want to make a shout out that Roger had highlighted on one of his slides earlier, is on Sunday. So available on Monday, we are going to implement the policy changes associated to the Medi-Cal policy that's changing January 1. So the asset reinstatement, and then our unsatisfactory immigration status, those that freeze, that will be all available in production on Monday for the January benefit month. So Michael, I'm going to go back to you to see if there's any questions.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate the overview. As probably all the directors feel, there's some concerns around CARES and the timelines and things like that. And some of that's out of all of our control. What I'm concerned about mostly is what is in our control, and that's the testing between the systems, because we do have linked risk with that project, and a real emphasis from our side of being placed on the payments, especially for the congregate centers, because those are problems that we experienced when we in LA went up on LRS, And so we have history with it. We know what those issues are. We really need to engage our folks in that because, and if we have problems during testing, it needs to be elevated and really escalated fast because they're going to be focusing on a lot of functionality and other things that we may not be, but the payments by themselves could trip up, the success of this, integrated approach. So I just really want to emphasize that and make sure that we're getting all the testing in possible that the payments don't end up having a problem because whenever people are impacted from a financial standpoint, that's going to rule all other things. So whatever we can do about that and also elevating, even though we're not the project leads, to making sure it's escalated as high as possible if we are encountering issues so that we don't proceed right into a problem again.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. We're still responsible for issuing the payment. So none of that payment issuance is going to change at all. But we are going to be getting placement information from them. So making sure we're getting that right placement information is definitely critical. And we will be testing all areas of the application, prior to going live, just to make sure we didn't impact any of that fiscal logic, Michael, but definitely hear you on that for sure. Completely.
Yeah, and I know it was mentioned, LA has some specific resource type of things, but some of that impacts payments, especially in congregate care area, congregate settings.
Yep.
So I just want an emphasis on that. So I'll step back now and ask if there's any other comments from our board members or our state partners on this update and presentation.
This is Francine, and I just echo your comments and the concern over the payment realm. I did relay that as well prior. And in the testing phase, whether that be on the care side and what's to be seen about potential pilot versus not, or what extent of that will incur, my comment would be that I would hope that there would be some foster care staff on the self-sufficiency side included in some of that, so that testing is thorough between the two, the FSED, CalSAWS piece, and the care system, and not just relying on the social workers on the child welfare side to input data and hope that it goes right based on some testing of that payment structure. There is a difference in what our staff do versus what's automated. And any overpayment is a direct impact in most counties to general fund, which in these upcoming years is quite difficult.
Yeah, definitely, Francine, hear you. With that EUST effort that I mentioned at the beginning, I think there are like 40 plus counties that are participating on the child welfare side. And so will we be looking to recruit participants from those same counties to do eligibility stuff? So we're definitely including the eligibility staff from the counties in these extended user scenario testing efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Francine. I appreciate it. Any other comments or input from our board members or our state partners?
Michael, this is Marla. Michelle, thank you for that good update. Appreciate it. Just also, this is very important for all of us. Child welfare is a very high risk area for us, and we can't have things go wrong on the technology side in the child welfare realm. In your review there, in your report, Michelle, I might have heard something about, funding for CalSAWS to make sure that we've got the funding we need for all of this. And if there's a funding issue, I'd like that brought to the board so we can help strategize there, because we wouldn't want funding to block us here.
I think she was referring to
yeah.
It's not
Okay.
our funding, but it's
Okay.
they have to make requests to the federal government.
Right.
So it's not we don't have any funding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, Mark.
Yeah.
Was that Adam, our state partner there? Sounded like Adam.
That was that.
Yeah, and so I just want us to be courageous and to be able to raise, if we believe an issue is really going to impact payments, that it's not something, because we're just one of many partners to that project, but we need to make sure that we get our voice heard.
Hey, Michael, the whole meeting dropped off in our room here. Can you start over with what you were saying here after Adam commented?
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, the screen keeps changing, and I don't know if that's me or okay. I'm sorry. What I was saying is just, I want us to be a very courageous partner and to be able to elevate, concerns related to payments, because it does have such a dramatic impact. Because the CARES project has a bunch of partners, and they're going to be looking at all of that. We have to be able to pierce through that if we see payment related issues, and to get that elevated up as far as possible. And we do have Adam also as a mechanism for doing that and seeing what that is. I just don't want us to be that one of 100 partners out there and it's like manageable. But when we have payment issues, it's not going to be just that. It'll actually become everything. So, all right, that's the last drum I'm beating on that one. So I'll do one last call for our directors and state partners if there's any other comments on this before moving to public comment. Okay, hearing none. Public comments? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and move to our last update. We're a little bit behind, and that's Benefits Cal.
Good morning, everyone. This is Onur Salman from the Benefits Cal team. So one of our CalSal's objectives was about enhancing the user experience and enhancing the self-service access, while we listen our stakeholders and also measure the impact after implementing the improvements. In alignment to this goal, I will share a quick highlight this morning with you with an example of what we have been doing throughout this year. What we have been hearing through our UCD and the CX channels, that customers were asking it would be more efficient if they could upload multiple document types in one attempt instead of selecting one by one with the same metadata, so they could spend less time and complete this action with less number of clicks. So especially this was important when there is a multi-member household or with multiple documents, supporting documents needs to be uploaded. It would definitely save a lot of time. This feature was already available for a same document type, single document type, so they could do multiple document upload in one session. But for when there is multiple document types are involved in the equation, this feature needs to be expanded. So based on this request, with working with our stakeholders and the customers, we implemented this improvement in late April, early May of this year, and started to measure the usage and the impact. What you see on the right-hand side is after the change, we have seen the customers are uploading the documents in less number of clicks and less number of upload sessions. There is no reduction in the overall volume. We usually experience between 2.4 to 2.6 million images or documents in a month over month. So we still maintain the same consistent volume, but we saw less number of clicks and actions and less time spent. And there is also no impact on the performance. So overall, from the feedback we have been hearing from the customers and the stakeholder standpoint, they were happy. We received positive feedback, and this also the KPIs also supported that conclusion. I just wanted to share the highlights, Michael, and then back to you, since this is the only update we have this morning for today.
Thank you, Onur. Any comments, questions, statements from our board members or state partners on the abbreviated Benefits Cal update?
This is Kristen. I have a quick question. And apologies if you already mentioned this, but can you explain how this intersects, if at all, with the OCR process? And is this functionality creating the likelihood that the documents are going to not necessarily the correct drawers from the back end process?
Yeah, from our interaction with the Highland, Kristen, this is a great question, by the way. It does not change as part of this improvement, because all the documents we have available in the Benefits Cal for customers to upload is already mapped with the unique identifiers from the OCR process standpoint. It will not end up going to a different categories, or this will actually maybe even improve the accuracy for customers to selecting the correct document types or going to the right drawers. But in terms of the interaction between the Highland and the Benefits Cal, it will not change anything in terms of the OCR process.
Thank you.
No problem.
I have just a comment that's more general on the Benefits Cal side, just to kind of put out there to you guys, is that we had some recent meetings with some of our community partners, health clinics, and with the HR1 impacts, there's a lot of focus on renewals. and making sure the renewals are done properly. And I just wanted to emphasize that one of the things that they brought up to us was some of the renewal information is steps down the chain. And since there's an emphasis and a tie back to HR1, that you guys take a look at through the user-centered design, take a look at how can we emphasize the things that have a link to HR1 related things, which is to try to keep people in their benefits and maybe have some of that stuff a little sooner, maybe on the first pages, really not requiring too much navigation to get to them, like renewals. Because I think there was a change made recently to make that more visible, but just that's an example of something that we might want to have right up in front of them. So I just want to put that out there because there may be more HR1 related type of things beyond renewals, but that was one they highlighted for us, that it still seemed to be a few steps before they could find what their renewal date was. So I just want to highlight that for you guys and for you to take a look through the UCD lens with what kind of things are HR1 related impacted and can they be more readily accessible. Okay, that's my feedback. So I want to circle back with our directors and state partners to see if there's any other comments or feedback for the project on this presentation. Okay, hearing none, any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we're going to pause the public meeting and we're going to go into closed session. So those who are on the public meeting, you can wait online and we will come back to close that out. Okay. All right, we're going to move over to the closed session now. So.
And then that needs to, like Mark Director Johnson.
Okay, looks like they're slowly trickling in, Michael, so let's give them just another moment or two.
Okay, thank you.
I think we've got most everybody, Michael. You want to go ahead and start?
Okay, thank you. We're reconvening the open session. We just adjourned the closed session with no reportable actions taken. Our next meeting is January 29th. I want to highlight for everybody that is a Thursday. I believe it's a general membership meeting and it will commence first thing at 9 a.m. It is also a 3-hour meeting till noon. So please plan accordingly. And I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season and meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.